As you're picking out a sermon topic, you come up with a lot of ideas and you throw them all to the side. And I don't like that one, or I don't feel prepared enough to cover this topic yet, or I don't think that topic's timely. So as I was sitting there preparing last night, and I'm thinking, and we're looking at the weather and going, okay, it's gonna pour in. I thought, how do I find something that I can cover quickly, but is still impactful in order to try and get us home before the weather comes down. It's not. There's no big flakes coming yet. So from my vantage point here, but that doesn't mean it's not icy. Um, so I wanted to come up with something that was timely. So we've had all these fires out in California, and it got me thinking about fire. And we start controlling fire at a very young age when our parents convince us to blow out a candle, right, at our birthday. Our parents put fire right in front of our face and say, "Blow this out." Right? And that fire is very controlled. It's got a wax base around it so that the wick burns down slowly. And so we understand about how much flame that's going to make, and we control it and we can put it out. And I don't know if any of you have ever been in a wildfire situation before. But if you, on one of our family reunions, we had a fire get out of control. We had a firecracker go the wrong direction. And when that happens in the high plains of uh, eastern New Mexico, West Texas area, uh, fire happens quickly. And immediately we had the 40 to 50 members of our family doing bucket brigades and hoses everywhere and rakes and people stomping things out and because it quickly got to where we had flames that were above our heads, that about the size of this section of chairs. And we were worried about it jumping from that section over to another, and if it got to the next section, well, then it's headed to town, right? That kind of thing. And so as we look at this, out of control wildfires are very scary and very dangerous. And just looking at what happened in California, the devastation, the number of homes, and I haven't called our friends that we have in California yet to see. I know they're not near it, but who do they know? What are the needs of the congregation out there? The congregations that are in these areas. Um, but it's just devastating when we think about these fires. Uh, but these fires on earth are a way that Jesus described a fire in the afterlife. In Matthew 5:21 said, "You've heard that it was said to the people long ago, you shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who yells to a brother or sister, Raka, is answerable to the court, and anyone who says, you fool, will be in danger of the fire of hell." Raka is a Aramaic term of contempt. I wanted to make sure I kind of knew what it was, but I was like, let me look this up just for everybody else, educate myself. Um, but the fire of hell, right? This is what is waiting uh, for those, right? Again, in Matthew 25, Jesus says, uh, "Then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry and you gave me nothing to eat, and I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink." So there's a whole lesson around that, but the description here is an eternal fire, one that can't be put out. And then we look at Mark chapter 9, verse 42. "If anyone causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it would be better for them if a large millstone were hung around their neck and they were thrown into the sea. If your hand causes you to stumble, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life maimed than with two hands to go into hell where the fire never goes out." The extent at which we're told to get rid of sin is saying it's better to maim yourself. It's better to be injured here on earth than to risk this fire that never goes out. And then in Revelation chapter 14, verse 10, they too will drink the wine of God's fury, which has been poured out full strength into the cup of his wrath. They will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment will rise forever and ever. There will be no rest day or night for those who worship the beast and its image, for anyone who receives the mark of its name. Burning sulfur, right? This fire imagery, some people will say, well, you know, yeah, I want to go to hell. That's where all my friends are going to be. We're going to have a big party down there with all my friends. That's not where we want to end up, right? Uh, Last one here, Revelation chapter 20 and verse 10. And the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of burning sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet have been thrown. They'll be tormented day and night forever and ever. Again, uh, I wasn't really planning on hellfire and brimstone as a sermon, but the idea of fire here and what our country has recently witnessed. And if you've ever been through these areas that were on fire and you walk, you say everything is black and charred, and how could anything grow here again? Um, and then you find out the next spring, yeah, life springs up again somehow. The next rain that comes in, life springs up. But it's really devastating, and that's what the Lord has prepared at the end. Um, but we fight fires, right? We can fight fires, and one of the things that I want us to understand is what's the main thing that we use when we fight fire? Water, right? We use water. How does the Lord, and what we're going to look at here is how do we fight fire against the fire of eternal damnation? It's through water. It's through our baptism, right? As we look at this, uh, kind of the best firefighter there ever was Jesus, right? He could quench that fire. He can quench the sin, give us forgiveness of our sins, wipe away the fire as if it was never there. They can be avoided. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. So it's not that there's not going to be fire that can crop up, but you can avoid it. You can put it away. You can extinguish it, right? You can get rid of these things that are in your life. God is giving us the power to stay out of evil, to stay out of hell, to stay out of evil that will try to come up and crop up in our lives. Um, what starts wildfires? It's interesting. There was it oftentimes somebody throwing a cigarette out a window in a dry area, or the one that burned a bunch of my cousin's ranch one time was from a tire blew out, and when the tire blew out, the rim of the tire hitting the road shot sparks off the road, and that was enough to light thousands of acres on fire. And when we think about it, so what starts these fires? Lightning strikes can just reach down and set a tree on fire, right? These things that can happen, these fires that happen, they can start from any reason at any time. Sin can crop up in your life for any reason at any time. But what's our responsibility? Don't go run and play in it, right? Avoid it. Try to put it out. Try to extinguish it. These things, and sometimes, you'll think you'll have a fire. You ever get a trick candle on your birthday cake, right? You blow it out, and then, oh man, it's back, right? You blow it out again. Oh man, it's back. All right, somebody get me some water, right? But that trick candle on your birthday cake is likened to sin that's in our lives that sometimes will crop back up. If we have a problem with lying or stealing or drugs or these things that pop up in your life, they can come back and get you when you're not expecting it. And it can be a surprise. And then sometimes isn't it funny how it's not a surprise anymore? It's like, wow, I just did that again. I'm not even shocked at myself. How do I change everything? Right? How do I get rid of these things? How do I change who I am? right? The Lord gives us the power to do it. The Lord gives it to us. We don't have it in ourselves. And they can be extinguished with water. 1 Peter 3:21. And this water symbolizes baptism that now saves you also. Again, not the removal of dirt from the body, but a pledge of a clear conscience towards Christ. It saves you by the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The resurrection of Jesus Christ, Christ's blood offered for us, can extinguish fire to where it doesn't come back, right? It can extinguish, it can wipe away these fires. And so, again, I told you I'd be brief, and I will. I know I'm up here rambling already. But when we look at the water that saves us and the fire that we could be toying with every day, we really have to ask ourselves these questions. As we walk through our daily lives, are we playing with matches? Are we putting ourselves in sinful situations? Are we surrounding ourselves with sin on purpose in order to, let me see what this is like? Let me dabble in this. Let me see what trouble I can get into this weekend, right? Or are we near fires because we're putting them out, right? When a matchbook is on fire, there's the person that lit it and there's the person that comes and puts it out. Which person are we going to be? Right? Are we going to recognize a small fire and put it out before it gets out of control in our lives? We know people and we've seen people who get so wrapped up in a little fire that started in their life that they let it consume everything about them. And it feels like there's no escape for them, right? We don't want to be in that situation. We want to be where we are putting out those fires as they come up. A nice fire extinguisher, go attack that fire. Go put it out. Get it out of your life. That's it this morning. I hope that this short lesson about fire has a few images and a few verses that you can remember. The question for us to ask ourselves as we go throughout this week and as we're working on ourselves and as we're working on being better Christians is, are we playing with matches or are we putting out fires? If you need help putting out your fire, turns out everybody here's got their own fire extinguisher. We brought it with us. We keep them all over the place. We can help you put out the fires in your life. We can pray for you. We can study with you. We can find you whatever resources you need. We have very capable people here. And the Lord is the most capable of all. I said it in the middle. He's the best firefighter there ever was. He can put it out. He can get rid of that fire for you. If you need Jesus, if you need help putting out the fires, please come as we stand and sing the invitation song.